Okay, can I get audio right this time? Hopefully. Where is it? There it is. Come here, Saturn. Okay, I'm going to check my audio before I go any further. All right, that sounds half decent. So yeah, this isn't the new Saturn, and that, my God, that is a very exciting printer, and I really want to get one in here. Actually, do me a favor right now. Can you leave a comment and tell Elegoo why you'd like to see that printer on this channel specifically? Because I think they've forgotten about me. I can't get in contact with them, and maybe that's because I've taken a really long time to get around to this. But yeah, they're putting in like an exposure calibration feature. That's amazing. I can't wait to get that in here and test it. But yes, so this is last year's model. This is the Saturn 3. Where's the picture? There it is. Which looks an awful lot like the Saturn 2 before it. And I loved the Saturn 2. I didn't really have any complaints about it at all. It was a phenomenal printer. 8K quality, fantastic. On a, 9 or 10 inch screen roughly. Really, really good. And I did a comparison of different prints at 8K, 4K, or rather than thinking about it in K, it's more accurate and it's more meaningful to talk about it in microns. And if you saw that video, you saw I did that comparison of the same model across a range of different XY micron resolutions. And yeah, we learned pretty quickly that, the higher you climb in resolution, that they're just like diminishing returns. And so increases in resolution have been something that we just care less and less about, I think, in the resin 3D printing space. At least I don't really care about, because you just can't see the difference really with the naked eye. You got to like really get in there close with a magnifying glass or a macro lens or whatever to pixel peep that stuff. So it always confuses me actually when other people say, like, they'll test a resin 3D printer and they'll say, oh, these are the best resin prints I've ever seen in my life. It's like, how? They're all the same. Anyway. So I've gone off track again about bloody resolution. I got to stop doing that. Because really what you're getting for your money these days when you spend more on a printer is just cool features, right? Or at least that's, I feel like, the biggest incentive, or rather the biggest reason that people are spending more money is because they want things like heaters. They want things like ventilation built in. So yeah, in terms of quality, God, if it's a resin 3D printer today, it's putting out good quality. So yeah, this might be like a 12K upgrade or something. I'll put it on screen here. But yeah, I'm gonna title this video something like, don't sleep on last year's model, because it's all well and good to get caught up in the hype and the excitement of the new printers. And there's a lot to be excited about, that's for sure, with the new Saturn 4. Yeah, because in addition to that calibration thing, which I'm so stoked about because I've been whinging about that forever. And now Anycubic finally has some competition on that front. It's like incredible. I'm so happy. Okay, hold up. I go way off track here because I myself get caught up in the excitement of the new printers. So quickly, just to finish the point I was making there, is that if all you want is just really high quality prints and you don't necessarily care about all the latest whiz-bang features, you can save yourself some money and just get, a previous generation printer and have a great time with it. Anyway, back to gushing about the latest models. But yeah, the other feature is like that tilt mechanism, which looks incredibly cool. And I think that's going to do a lot to reduce those peel forces and produce better quality prints on the underside, on the support tip, on the side where all the supports are, as well as possibly increasing the longevity of the resin magnetic flex plate upgrade. As one of the issues with that, as you get to larger and larger sizes, is the longevity of the thing. The magnets just start to peel. They don't adhere very well. And in my experience, I've only found them to work super well and super reliably with tons of longevity on a 6-inch or smaller build plate. Why am I talking about flex plates? Well, actually, we're doing a video this month on flex plates, and one of you guys put me in touch with the dude from Wham Bam. Thank you for that, because now we got some Wham Bam stuff here, which is really great. Wham Bam was the first flex plate I ever tried, and it's still going strong on my Photon S. Really high quality product. Can't recommend it enough. So I'm excited to have some more Wham Bam products in here. So this month, in addition to the first impressions of this, we're also going to be doing first impressions of, I think, at least one other printer. And I'm also going to try and squeeze in a video all about flex plates, because ages ago I did say something to the effect of, I think I've figured out all of the potential issues you're going to have with these and how to have the best possible printing experience with them. And so this month, I'm going to make that happen. And we're also going to try and fix that issue of the magnets peeling off. We've got some ideas. We had an interesting discussion around that on the Discord a few months back. So do keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I'm wondering, or rather, I feel like it's already pretty much guaranteed. This is probably, in fact, let's check right now. Okay, yeah, so we got a 10-inch screen, 12K mono LCD, XY resolution, 19 to 24 microns. Yeah, so we've got amazing resolution on this thing. Oh, it's got Wi-Fi. That's cool. I like that. We'll give that a go. And I can't see the price in USD. I can see it here in Australian dollars. It's coming out at $587.99. At that price, this might be an incredible deal. If you want a larger resin 3D printer and you don't care about the extra bells and whistles, like you don't need a heater, you don't want the fancy resin exposure range finding function, and you're happy to spend a little bit more time calibrating, you don't want that tilt release, or you don't want smart features like these pressure sensors inside the build plate, this might be a great purchase. And you know what? A lot of those features you don't need. Like, let me go get something real quick. Right? Check this out. So this is the Anycubic Mono 2, and to this day, this is still my absolute favorite bare bones budget entry-level resin 3D printer. I mean, it's got exactly what you need and nothing else, and it's just a great example of if you know what you're doing with resin 3D printing, and there's not really much to it, you can have a great time without the extra bells and whistles. So maybe this is going to be my recommendation for the next size up in a bare bones resin 3D printer. But let's find out. Because who doesn't love saving money at the end of the day? And I feel like, you know, if you're getting into resin 3D printing, especially for miniatures, you're looking to save some money. At least I know I was when I got into it. Now, where is my new knife? One of you made a joke on the Discord about me cutting towards myself. I got to find that, but I bought this in response to that joke to cut towards myself. Look at that. This is nothing special. Just a cheap Amazon blade. That seems nice enough. Anyway, let's get this open. Oh, nice. This is way off center. Okay, the first thing you're greeted by when you open up the Saturn 3 is your power plug. Hey, they got it right. That's an Aussie one. Not bad. Elegoo have always got it right. I don't think I've ever got a EU or US plug from Elegoo. So after some foam, we have documentation, user manual, nice and straightforward. It's got everything you need, except for breath. Come on, Elegoo. Give us a firmware update for this. Do you reckon they will? God, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Leveling card, we don't need that. Very securely packaged. The Elegoo Saturn 3 comes with a big sheet of foam covering every single side, which is what you want. And then all of the accessories are going to be inside the printer itself, which is smart because that minimizes the size of the package. But there it is. So we've got a bunch of plastic on it. Here we go. So at the very top, after you get all that plastic off, you have the accessory kit. And inside our accessory kit, there is spatula, as ever. Bunch of hardware. Gloves, one of these. Oh, so interestingly, on this printer and the last generation too, Elegoo actually included this little port here. And what's super awesome about this is one of the makers on, I think, printables actually adapted this to my fume extraction system. So we'll print that off and we'll get that installed today. And that'll be good. And then we don't have to rely on this crap. Oh, and this has a lot of loose carbon dust inside of it. Normally the carbon inside of these comes plastic wrapped, but I guess this one ruptured or was failed in some way. But yes, it has been brought to my attention that this is not something you should rely on at all for your safety. And yeah, fair enough. Blast those fumes outdoors. We got a lifetime free license to something. Oh, Voxel Dance Tango Slicer. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, that's good because if you like slicing or you like the support tools of Voxel Dance, there you go. It comes with this printer and you can use that, so that's quite nice. Rising Ape swears by this. I tried it out. I was a bit not enthusiastic about it at all. I found the support tools to be garbage compared to, well, not garbage, but like really severely lacking compared to something like Lightsheet. And if all you need is something to slice your prints, just use whatever's free and came with your printer. In this case, it's this, so I guess we will use this. We got another spatula, metal one, good. Power brick. I actually prefer when these are built into a machine and then all you have to do is just plug a cable into the machine, but whatever, that's fine. We got some filter paper with the little metal mesh in the tip. These are really good to have. Face masks, utterly useless. Why are these here? And a USB stick. So I'm guessing this will have Voxel Dance on it, as well as some pre-sliced files and stuff like that. The usual, you know. Okay, here's our build plate. And I am so happy to see this spring-loaded dual bolt leveling system carry through to this generation of the Saturn. I know some people don't like this, but honestly, if you just tighten these up really well, it's set and forget. You're so unlikely to ever knock it out of level. It's just, I find this such a robust system, but just such an easy to level system too. So that even in the event that you do throw it out, it's really simple to put it back. But hey, feel free to disagree with me some more on that. Yeah, some beautiful etching on the bottom of that. Geometric, very cool. Disappointing to see these tiny little thumb screws again. They are certainly nothing special. There's our FEP. Very nice. Back here, there's a little port, a USB port, to plug in that charcoal filter. I'm not going to bother with that, but that's there if you want it. Looking at the back of this machine, we've got nice, chunky dual linear rails, a well-greased ball screw. Nope, sorry, my mistake. A well-greased lead screw. That is not a ball screw. That is just your stock standard lead screw, which is, you know, it's fine. A little bit of protective plastic on the front. I always like removing this stuff. I know some people don't. And those of you who do leave this on your electronics, why do you do it? Why do you do it? All right, let's get some power to this thing and just make sure everything's working. Okay, so power goes right here. Nice and straightforward. Do. Powered on. Saturn 3. I don't remember if the previous generation had this, but this vat has these little handles on the side, which is a nice addition. There's also little metal feet on the corners of this vat, and these index nicely into some little machined holes on the top of the build deck. Okay, so UI looks to be the same as last time. We've got our manual Z-height adjustment. So let's send the carriage all the way to the top and just watch it for any wobbliness or weirdness. And then let's go to exposure and have a look at our mask. Make sure the LCD is doing its thing correctly. Oh yeah, that looks promising. One thing I'm noticing with this touchscreen is it's not as good as some other touchscreens out there. See, like that, sometimes I'll press a button and it takes a few times to register. Not a deal breaker at the end of the day, but it can be a little bit frustrating. All right, now let's get this build plate installed. So this machine does come with a big chunky 8mm hex, what do you call it? Allen key, but I prefer to use this just because it's easier. So we're just going to loosen that off and loosen that one off. And there we go. So that can now sort of freely spin around. It's got that spring in there which pushes it back down. And that's just so great because when we level this, that spring is going to apply nice even pressure to the whole top of this build plate and just makes it, all we got to do is just tighten it up and it's just so easy. Okay, let's go to manual, home. And so now the build plate's going to lower down. You want to make sure it's lined up with the vat. You don't want it to be like skewed out like this or whatever. Just sort of have it roughly like that. Very good. So yeah, this is now applying just a little bit of pressure from that spring to the entire build plate, which is really nice. So all we have to do to level it is literally just tighten these down. We'll start with this one, just a little bit at first. So there you go. Those are now nice and tight. And this thing will probably never come out of level without some like serious user intervention. And then from memory, all we got to do on this one is tell it that that is where our home position is. Yeah, z equals 0, confirm. And there we go. That's now the new home point. Easy. This printer is now ready for printing. But what we're going to do today, so we are going to crack this open and get a flex plate installed. So yeah, I believe there's going to be one in here that fits this machine. Here we go. Yes, I think one of these is going to fit. So this is really cool. It's one of the things I appreciate about the Wham Bam. Oh, Wham Bam. One of the things I appreciate about the Wham Bam system is they actually include the sandpaper, which is really nice. You got some stickers too. Wham Bam, thank you, ma'am. And there it is. Look at that beauty. Okay, that one's too big. Let's try another. Oh, there we go. That is a perfect fit. So let's go with this one. Thank you, Wham Bam. Yeah, I do recommend if you're going to get a flex plate for a machine. I love flex plates. They are my favorite upgrade for a resin printer. And I'm really stoked to be installing one again because it's been forever since I've used one. They're just such a huge user experience improvement. They just make it so much nicer to work with a resin machine. And yeah, in my experience, the Wham Bam stuff is excellent. Wham! Bam! So something I'm curious about here is the pricing in US dollars, because I know most of you watching are from the States. So I want to figure this out real quick. Here we go. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So at the time of recording this, you can actually pick up this printer for $339. That's kind of wild. Like for a bare bones printer that is going to produce super high quality prints, which I'm more than certain that this will, with a build volume the size that it has for $339, that's pretty sweet. We just don't have, you know, some modern nice to haves like swingy doors and heaters and resin exposure range finding. That's okay. I mean, that stuff is super nice to have, but it is not critical. Now, the other thing I'm curious about is the cost of replacement parts, because with resin 3D printers, if you didn't know, the LCD is actually a consumable item and you will have to replace it at some point. And so one of the concerns I have is when you start increasing the resolution of the LCDs, is you start increasing the cost of the replacement parts as well. So let's take a real quick look. $149.99. Is that? Yeah, that's USD. So that's quite a markup for no like discernible improvement in quality. At least I don't think we're going to see any like noticeable improvement of quality from 8K to 12K on this size of build plate. Like that's an improvement of what, like 10 microns or something? So your cost of replacement LCDs goes up from, I think, 120 to 150 for that. So that's a consideration too, you know, when you look at these higher resolution printers. Okay, so I've just decided to research this a little bit further. You can actually pre-order the Saturn 4 for less money than the Saturn 3 is right now. But more than that, the Saturn 2 is $259.99. Okay, so if you want to save money, just get this one. Or if you want the new features, for $319, here you go, get this one. Because the only difference that I can tell between the Saturn 3 and the Saturn 2 is the resolution of the screen. And I promise you, you're not going to be able to see the difference between the detail in the 12K versus the 8K. So just save your money and get the Saturn 2. And furthermore, yeah, those LCD replacements are a bunch cheaper for the Saturn 2 as well. So this is the value purchase right here. This makes no sense. And this right here is incredibly interesting. What you doing, Pippin? I've got something else here that Wham Bam sent to me, actually. This is a mega slap mat. This could be fun. Ooh, I like the color. Another Wham Bam sticker. Oh, wait. There's two. Let's see if we can get AI to write another little jingle, shall we? The last one was shockingly good. Actually, got stuck in my head. Slap mat is made of pure first-grade silicone. It will not be harmed by printer resins, most chemicals, or most glues. Stop working on cardboard and paper towels, throwing away a toxic gooey mess after every cleanup or resin transfer. Use slap mat. Sounds promising. You gotta slap it, right? Whoosh. Nope. Very nice. Yeah, I can see this being quite good. I don't know though if it would replace the potting things for me. These things right here. Oh, I really got to commend the guy who commented about this again. We acknowledged his greatness in the resin video, I believe, but yeah, I'll try and do it again here and put his comment up because this is such a good idea. These are, you get these from the hardware store, like the plant section, and they're UV weather resistant outdoor like water trays that you put underneath pot plants. And these are so good for like your post-processing of resin prints. Because you've got these nice high walls. You can get smaller ones like this that will fit, you know, into like confined areas. So you get this under your build plate, pull your print out. These are fantastic. And I reckon you'll find these wherever you are in the world. So really good option here. But this is nice too. I think the coolest feature of this might be that you can actually roll it up and store it away with a very small footprint. But then the disadvantage is you can't use it in that same way as like a little tray that you put in the machine and hold there as like a drip tray when you remove your print. So it's a little less versatile in that regard, but a little more versatile in some other ways. So yeah, storage and also cleaning this up will be very simple too. So yeah, very nice. Where this I imagine would shine even more is if you made a huge mess on this, you could just cure it outdoors in the sun and that cured resin will come away very easily. Whereas if you cure resin on those plastic trays, it's an absolute bear to remove. So I recommend with those, you just wipe it down to clean it. But yeah, this, I think you could probably throw it outside and cure it that way. And yeah, it'd be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So good stuff. Thank you, Wham Bam. This household can always use more fun silicon toys. Wait a minute. All right, well, that's fresh off the V400, looking pretty good. And you know what? Right as it finished, I remembered I actually have one of these already that I printed, sitting in a box somewhere. But, oh well, I guess I got two now. So, magnet fit is loose. That's okay. We'll glue them in. So what I like to do is get my hose and then take some magnets, stick them on there. So I know that this face has to go into the hole. I'll just drop some super glue in there. You see this okay? You see what I'm doing? Do you need to see this? Does this matter? Is this good content? Is this better than my scripted content? Honestly, YouTube makes me wonder, you know, like, if views are what matters and you can get just as many views talking off the cuff as you can pouring blood, sweat and tears into a script, maybe just don't script stuff. I don't know. YouTube's definitely not a meritocracy. I think that's the right word. That's okay. You know what? I'm having success on this platform at the moment. I can't complain about that. And thank you everyone who supports me on Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, and through YouTube memberships. You guys are changing my life. It's unreal. Thank you so much. Seriously. So I'm not like losing too much sleep if I don't get a ton of views. But I do still need every now and then a video to kick off. So hopefully I haven't somehow ended up on YouTube's naughty list. Praise be to the algorithm omniscient. Hopefully it'll shine upon me again soon. But yeah, I'm not going to give up on doing scripted content. I know some of you really value my highly produced scripted content. So I definitely don't want that to go anywhere. And for the most part, I have fun making that stuff too. It's very rewarding to reach the end of a project like that. You know, having created something that's not just content junk food or whatever. So there we go. I'm going to let that dry for about 10 minutes. Also, something else you can do, actually, I heard, is you can use alcohol as like an accelerant for super glue. We shall see. Oh yeah, it looks to be working. You can see it sort of doing that frosty super glue thing. Okay, looks a bit gross actually. Look at this bunny. Is that not the most chill bunny you've ever seen? I want to touch it. I want to touch it. Sorry, Mary. You don't appreciate that, do you? Do not disturb. Right, let's have a crack at installing the thingamajigama-thingo to the Saturn. Yeah, I really appreciate Elegoo installing this. It's a really nice touch. It just saves you having to drill a hole yourself. Because if you've never drilled acrylic, it's a very easy material to drill. You just have to make sure you don't go too fast too quickly because the heat, the friction will actually start to melt it. So if you just take your time, you go in bursts, and it's very easy to work with. But it's so messy. It just leaves an incredible mess when you do it. And the shavings, they're like staticky. They stick to everything. But anyway, there we go. Got those out. I'm going to grab some these screws that came out of the Saturn. These won't fit. These are way too small. So I'm going to have to grab some M3 hardware. I think M3 should be. All right, so I got some M3 something or other. M3 by probably 15, I think. Easy. Just 3 more. Yeah, the original design of my coupler here used 8 bolts, but 8 is definitely overkill. 4 is plenty. Even 2 is probably enough. But yeah, we'll do all 4. Loving the simplicity of this install, not having to drill anything. Wonderful. Hopefully this is still something on the new Saturn 4 with that beautiful swingy door. Can't wait to check that out. It looks like they've put the same like friction hinges on it that Creality used, or similar to what Creality used on their Hallett printers. Speaking of Hallets, I got the new one, the Hallett S, and we'll do that real soon too. I'm thinking what we'll do is a little quality comparison video, because guess what I got? Where is it? I'll show you something. Shh. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's done. And that super glue is well and truly dried at this point. So let's plonk this on, shall we? Hopefully we got the orientation right. Nice. Couldn't be simpler. So that's good. I can vent this printer as I use it. Once that flex plate's done, I'm thinking I'll just print all of the files that are available this month at buymeacoffee.com/once-in-a-six-side, patreon.com/once-in-a-six-side, and for YouTube members. I don't actually know what files we have yet, so I'll just record something and stick it right here. This month's videos are brought to you by the wonderful artists and studios Arcane Whiskers, Artificers Mini, Cross Lancers, Dow Miniatures, DM Stash, Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, Imp3D Sion, Moid, Ravenbones Minis, Steam Tatsu, Stoneforge, Synergy Studio, and Tractor Minis. Each one of these talented patrons have generously donated STL files for your 3D printing enjoyment. Head to buymeacoffee.com/once-in-a-six-side or patreon.com/once-in-a-six-side, or simply hit the join button down below this video and you can access all these epic rewards right now. Some of the new files will in fact be available in perpetuity, so even if you're watching this in the future, this wonderful set of space station terrain from Synergy Studio will be waiting for you, as well as these devilishly cool Space Marine sculpts from Dow Miniatures. There's also this lovely set of dwarven-themed terrain and miniatures contributed by the talented Artificers Mini. But the welcome pack does not end there. It also includes a handful of terrain designs by me, and becoming a member will also get you lifetime access to our great Discord server, as well as many hours of additional bonus video reserved exclusively for members. Rewards that are exclusive to this month of May include the Lizardo Warrior by Moid. This model comes in both 32 and 54mm scales. From Stoneforge, we have the ferocious Saber-toothed Tiger and thunderous Clan Chieftain. From Cross Lancers, there's this very cool and dynamic Upper Light Warrior. A demonic cultist from Ravenbones Minis. Forgive me my pronunciation on this one, but Yasugi Onyoji by Steam Tatsu. Returning again this May is Artificers Mini with the Oppressor Fire Giant, War Mastiff, and Lord Rogar of Blue Lightning. Tractor Minis is also joining us this month with an entire troop builder here for your next Chaos Army, the Brimstone Excursors. These come pre-posed and in bits with everything you could possibly want. But Tractor Minis didn't leave it at that. There's also a whole freaking Chaos Coffin on legs, the Brimstone Mortis Juggernaut. Incredible. DM Stash returns again, this time with the Dwarven Cleric of Life, an incredibly rich and detailed model that comes in both 32 and 75mm scales for your painting enjoyment. And joining us again, Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, gracing us this time with the most zippiest of airborne ground-hugging speeders, the Cyber Skimmer. Outfit your next skirmish table with the Phobos Cantina, a sci-fi set of terrain from Arcane Whiskers. And finally, from Imp3D Sion, we have this charging troll brute as he barrels down the battlefield toward his foes. So really, I can't thank all these artists enough for their contributions and for making my membership a more valuable subscription to you and your 3D printing toolbox. If you can't become a member today, that's totally cool. At the very least though, check out the links I've left in the video description for each of these artists and just take a look at all the cool stuff they make. Who knows, you might find your next favorite print waiting for you at one of those links. So give them all a follow and yeah, alright, that's enough advertising. This channel is fully fan-funded at the moment, so hopefully forgive me for this advertising. Alright, back to the Saturn 3. Wow, how great are all those files? So go sign up to my thing right now, become a member, help keep this channel going, especially while views are down. It's really appreciated. Helps keep all this happening. Helps keep the little bunnies fed. Look at him. Look at him. You know you want to feed him. You know you want to feed the bunny. Look at him. Feed me. And of course, having the ventilation installed is very important because we don't want the little masters to breathe resin fumes. So sucking those fumes straight outdoors is the way to go for everyone.
I highly recommend rabbits as pets if you're willing to put in a shit ton of effort because at first they're absolute monsters. It's very difficult to toilet train them, but it can be done. They can be litter trained just like cats. And once they warm up to you, the thing about rabbits is it's very difficult to earn their trust because they're prey animals. Cats and dogs will just instantly love you, whereas, yeah, these guys, you got to put in work. So when they do eventually warm up to you, it's very rewarding. But yeah, they're not easy.
And now what we need to do is find that card that has the Voxel Dance license on it and then print our rafts of adhesion to check our bed level. Okay, so free lifetime license is configured, which, okay, that's good now that we've got that. So we can slice stuff. Yeah, my first impressions of this slicer, I do have that recorded somewhere. I think maybe I'll upload that as a separate video, maybe as a member exclusive thing. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with the support tools here, especially the auto supports. They were abysmal, but that's the case for any auto supports really. And I think that's the way it's going to be for a while until we get like a really smart AI algorithm or something trained on existing support data. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get anything good until that happens. But we're currently set up here for the GK2. Let me change this out. Saturn 3, there it is. Add machine, and we'll just leave. Oh god, I'm changing the settings with my mouse wheel. What the fuck? Oh no. So I've just totally decimated this profile. Like, and all I had, like, see, I thought I was scrolling down to possibly some more settings down here, but if you mouse over one of these boxes, just hovering your mouse over it and then using the mouse wheel, you can easily throw out your settings here. So, like, that's dumb. That is so dumb. Let me delete this. Add another one. Okay. I'll be very careful now. Hit apply. Save these settings. Grab my rafts of adhesion. I'll pop a link to these in the description so you can go get them too. Highly recommend this as a first print anytime you set up a new resin printer, and as a print to run anytime you have to re-level your bed, just to verify that you have leveled things correctly. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to slice that up. Got to plug that in, which on this machine looks to be around the back on the side. Slightly, ever so slightly inconvenient. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this resin, particularly for miniatures. I think this stuff's really great. Like, I value durability more than anything else really these days when it comes to my resin prints. But yeah, unfortunately this is a little bit on the expensive side. But the Sunloo stuff is also really good, and that's a good bit cheaper. So you'll find links to those down below, of course. Thank you. Right, print, adhesion rafts, go. Well, it looks like that was a success, and all of our adhesion rafts are present. That's awesome. So I'm now going to print the cones of calibration so we can figure out the optimal exposure time for our Tough Resin Ultra on this machine. And I expect it should be pretty close already at that 2.5 value that we began at. But this is really one of the shortcomings of a bare bones machine like this, or really any machine that doesn't come with an exposure range finding ability. And that's why, honestly, like, one of the things I'm so excited about for the newer generation of this machine is that exposure range finding function that Elegoo finally listened and have had their developers program. So yeah, super keen to try that out. Unfortunately, we don't have that here, so we're going to have to do a few iterations of cones, but we'll get there. It's not the end of the world. It's just a inconvenience, and sometimes it can take a few hours to dial in a resin when you don't have this feature. But yeah, let's do that now. I'm using the latest beta for the cones here, which you can find on the Tableflip Foundry Discord server. This version has some nice extra features, but for this test, I'm just focusing on the tensile strength results. I ran the first one off at 2.5 seconds, and it was a good result. All the success cones are present, and there was some minor failure cone formation. I then lowered the exposure to 2.25 seconds, and ran the print again. Where Elegoo are lacking in exposure calibration tools, they make up for it in this ability to tweak the settings right here on the printer. This saves us having to reslice our calibration part for every single test, like other machines make you do. Looking at UGK2 and Whale 3 Ultra. The results again at 2.25 seconds were great, with all of our success cones present, and again, some minor formation on the failure side. This basically tells us we're pretty much exactly where we need to be for our calibration. But I carried on to do one more test and just lowered that exposure value down to 2 seconds, and this time produced an underexposed result, where the two smallest success cones had failed. Using the information from these tests, I now set the exposure value to 2.25 seconds in the slicer for all further prints on this machine with this resin. I also lowered my bone-in time from 35 seconds down to 20 seconds, because I was finding the prints to be adhering too well to that flex plate. With the resin calibrated, I prepared my first print of miniatures, filling up the plate with models that have been donated to my membership for this month. I tested the pause feature on the printer partway through this first print, and it worked well. Unfortunately, though, the outcome of this print was not 100% successful. Okay. So it looks like, unfortunately, this model was under-supported, as was this one. We've had a delamination issue with this guy here, as well as it looks like an under-supported detail here under the leg, something that's pancaked. That's unfortunate. Bit of a fail here as well. That sucks. We got fails all over this plate. Here, another one here. Yeah, I think the only sufficiently supported stuff might be Artificer's Mini and DM Stash. I think this one's from. Who's this? Stoneforge. You look to have done well with this guy, but the bore, I see some disconnected tips underneath the tusk. Maybe you can see that. So that hasn't properly formed on the underside. Unfortunately, some insufficiently supported models, I would conclude from that. Okay, money shot. Still getting really good adhesion. See, one of the things with using a flexible resin is it can bend with the flex plate. I think that's what's making it extra difficult to remove these. So it's, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to use like a knife or something. So that's what I'll do. So this is a bit of an interesting discovery for me, actually, because I don't know that I'd still recommend a flex plate if you need to use a tool like this. Might as well just not have it. But then you still get the benefits here of not knocking your build plate out of level, which is nice. There we go. That sucked. So yeah, it looks like the spear on our little hoplite here failed. Otherwise, they were well supported. Looks like this one's good, I think. Yeah, that one turned out nice. Oh, this one's really on there. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do supports. There's definitely a fine line that you got to walk because you want to support them enough that you don't end up with, you know, this pancake details. You want to support enough that you don't end up with that, but then you don't want to support them so much that it's tricky to remove the supports, and then potentially, potentially risking breaking these fine details. Which is where it's going to be really valuable for us to establish a kind of baseline for pre-supportists. Do you work off of dimensional accuracy or do you work off of tensile strength? And if we work off of tensile strength, what does that mean? Like, that regardless of what resin someone prints with, if they tune their resin to tensile strength, they will have success with said pre-supported files? Hopefully. We're going to test that. Got a whole video that's been planned for over a year on that very subject. Yes, we will get there. Looks like, yeah, DM Stash have nailed the supports once again. Look at this beautiful 75mm dwarf. So cool. I think it comes in 32 as well. That'd be a real nice one to paint up. Yeah, here's our saber-toothed tiger thing. And it's turned out quite nice. Yeah, it was just a little under-supported on those tusks. Those support tips failed, which is a bit of a shame. This guy, I think I broke the sword on this guy, but he appears to have printed perfectly. Very nice. Yeah, I did break that sword when I was pulling them off the build plate. Where is it? There it is. Very cool sword. Very Conan the Barbarian-esque. Has the little puppy. Beautiful. That turned out really good. This was a fail. This lizard man, that has not worked out. He's got a pancake for an arm. That sucks. And yeah, his whole lower torso, I believe, is what was here, and that's missing, as well as something here. We did get his sword. That turned out pretty cool. Maybe this would be a fun one to practice metallics on, weathering, that sort of thing. Looks like we got one complete success from Tractor Minis. So stoked to see Tractor Minis take on my feedback from the Space Marines video. And doubly stoked to have Tractor Minis as a donor this month. And yeah, so Tractor Minis has taken on board that feedback and he has provided these with LYS files and all the rest of it, which is a super awesome upgrade for Tractor Minis. However, they are just a little on the under-supported side because despite this one working out well, this one unfortunately was not as lucky. And yeah, he's missing his legs. That's a shame. Under-supported. Just found a tail as well. That's for the big lizard that failed. Then we got from Stoneforge, the other little mini in here. This looks to be perfect. Very nice. Yeah, so mixed results there from Stoneforge. Both of these are definitely usable. Yeah, I would just want to see the supports just bumped up just a tiny bit, just a little bit. And then here, this one looks good so far. I don't see any problems with this. There's one. Yeah, some of these supports have done some weird shit. That's a shame. But, oh, that's good. Yeah, those are really nice. I think that's an error here, this one. Yeah, really strange because it's like a failed knee on that, but otherwise pretty good. So, okay, all right, interesting. Now we got to do a vat clean. Oh, there's still this one. I feel like I'm going to break this one if I try and remove it. Yeah, I just broke that dagger off, and it's really fused in there. Okay, we got it. Yeah, that one's just a hair over supported. And that is plate 1. So yeah, now I got to do a vat clean. Someone on the Discord the other day had their first print failure, and they mentioned that they were going to replace their FEP. You actually shouldn't have to do that whenever you have a print failure. All you got to do is just make sure there's no debris in your vat, because you're only going to want to change your FEP if it's taken some kind of damage. And really the only way it's going to take damage is if you've got debris in there that then gets squished when the build plate comes down for your next print. So best practices, if you have a print failure, don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. Just clean your vat, and if you're really paranoid, empty it out just so you can be 100% sure that there's no debris in there. But to be honest, I never bother doing that. You can just feel around in there, and you can tell where the failed parts are. And majority of the time, they're going to be stuck to the FEP on the bottom. So all we got to do to clear those out is literally just run the vat clean function, which is built into basically every single printer. And then once we do that, we can pull that out and start our next print. Now, I'm going to do the little trick where I put some support material just in the corner here, and hopefully our vat clean is going to stick to that, and then we can use that to pull out the entire sheet. Right, so tank clean, 15 seconds, that ought to be plenty. Next, and then that's now exposing. Should just be able to lift that out, hopefully. It's a tough resin, so I'm not expecting it to tear, at least not too easily. It might. You know what? I should have put this right in the corner. This is actually quite difficult. Damn it. So if you're a dummy like me and you forget to put your support piece right in the corner, it's going to be very hard to remove. So the other option is you can remove the build plate so it doesn't drip on you or on your LCD, and then grab the vat, poke the corner out over the edge of the machine, and then you can sort of gently press on the FEP from the bottom, right on the corner of that cured sheet, and hopefully sort of gently poking at it from the top, we can release it just like that. Oh yes, nice, we did it, fam. And hopefully you can see the failures on that too. I think there was one over here somewhere as well. Simple, no FEP change required. At least not yet. And yeah, FEPs are pretty tough. Like, they can take a lot more abuse than people give them credit for. And with proper printing practices, you're very likely not to ever have to replace one due to an FEP failing. You'll probably only ever have to replace them just as a maintenance item. You know, you might want to do it like once a year or something like that if you're printing quite a lot. Maybe once every 6 months.
So because we do have the LYS files here for most of these, it should be pretty straightforward to get them to print successfully. So Artificer's minis were good, so we can delete those. This one we don't have a LYS file for, unfortunately. This one printed fine. This one it looks like we don't have the file for either, which is unfortunate, as that spear tip had failed. These two from Tractor Minis, we do have the support tips. So what's super cool is I can just select all of those supports like this, and then under tip diameter, I can set this to percentage, and I can increase all these support tips by 10%. But before I do that, actually, I think the issue with these is there's no heavies. There's only like lights and mediums, and they're all pretty small. They're 0.3 or even 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, everything's 0.3. Yeah, so that's the issue this time for Tractor Minis. Just literally every single support on these models is a 0.3. Where are your heavies? Come on, you gotta have some heavies. Some 0.55 or 0.65. So I'm gonna have to bump everything up to, what, 0.45? That should work. Hopefully. Not the best fix, but it's a fix. This guy printed fine, so we can get rid of him. This one printed great, but we had the knee here fail. So let's have a look. And this isn't an LYS file, so I can't actually see the settings here, but I can see, I think, why this failed. So this leg here should really be supported up under here, but it's kind of getting, oh, hang on, no, it's getting supported here by this blade. So this blade has to be supported well initially. Yeah, I'd like to see the settings for that, but I don't think we have them. Who made the brute? Is it you, M3D Sion? Yes. Yeah, we don't have the LYS files or the whatever they were supported in. I think, yeah, these look like Lychee supports. So that's a shame. We can't fix that. Yeah, from Stoneforge, we can fix these. This will be pretty easy. And if we look under these tusks, we can see why that failed. These, yeah, these are nothing. 0.15. 0.15, 0.15. So, okay, the tusk is pretty much self-supporting, actually, because it's coming out of this pore. But suppose it wasn't, what you would do is have like a heavy at the beginning and then probably some mediums. And as the peel forces become less and less, as this incline steepens, then you can drop them off to lights and then none at all. But yeah, that should actually be fine. Now, this guy, why did this fail? 0.30, 0.40... 0.60, I guess those peel forces here. Yeah, those are pretty hardcore. Like that compared to all these little 0.3 support tips. Yeah, you definitely would have wanted more heavies on this, that's for sure. Just one isn't enough, so that's a shame. But thankfully we can fix it. So yeah, let's select all of these and we'll try printing this guy again. So let's go tip diameter, let's go to 150%, and hopefully that's enough to finish things off. Let's test print my supports for Dow Miniatures Marines. That'll be fun. So these were actually contributed to the welcome pack and I supported them myself earlier. So yeah, let's see how we get on. So we've got the Ranger, gonna overlap all these rafts so that it'll be all together and organized throughout the post-processing steps. Okay, that looks good. The Thunder Recon Biker. This one looks really cool. Alright, let's send it. Right, so second time around, for the files that could be modified, the results are much better and we have a fully successful print here. I did notice a little bit of delamination in a couple of places right at the beginning of the print, but thankfully this didn't cause any issues for the supports later on and everything printed fine. And yeah, this is my first test print of these awesome sculpts from Dow Miniatures. I supported these myself a couple of days ago, so I was keen to run them off and see how they went. And yeah, everything's there. I couldn't see any disconnected tips, and everything came away nicely, leaving these models ready for assembly. Now, I don't know where the footage went. I've just gone rummaging through my files and checked a couple of SD cards. I guess I didn't record it, but I tried printing a second plate, this time with the epic speeder model from Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, and also the really cool Dreadnought that we got from Tractor Minis. But because I had those failures with the previous Tractor Minis Chaos Marines, before printing this Dreadnought, I selected all those support tips and increased their tip diameter by 150%, just to make sure that that thing would print well. The speeder though, I left it as is, and I wish I could show you, but unfortunately it was missing basically an entire wing. The support tips had just failed, and there was also a really bad delamination issue again, where the rafts in those early stages of the print had sort of partially separated. Having run that print overnight, I suspected this might have something to do with the cold weather we've been experiencing here in Sydney of late, so I thought I might grab that heater that came with the Anycubic Mono M5S Pro and stick that in the Saturn. And I ran the same print again, which was kind of dumb because I should have increased the strength of the supports on the speeder model too, because I had enough information from the first print telling me that that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And in fact, Dungeons and Dreadnoughts did even warn me about the supports on this model. So for some reason, yeah, I ran this off a second time with the only change being the heater, and I had the exact same failure. And this time I do have footage of it. You should be seeing that on screen right now. So for now, I've wasted enough resin on the speeder. I gave up on that, and I've got two Dreadnoughts which printed beautifully. So at this point I went and threw a black primer on everything after assembling the models that needed it, hit them with a zenithal highlight, and as you would expect, these models look phenomenal. Yeah, no surprises there. This Saturn printer is producing really, really lovely looking prints, but there's still a couple things I'd like to test with this machine, so let's do that now. So the first thing I wanted to test was to see if this machine had recovery on power loss. This is not a feature you'll need often, but God, is it nice to have when you need it. So I started up a print and let that run for a little while before pulling the power and then reconnecting the power. And unfortunately, upon booting up, the printer just starts up as if for the first time. So no recovery on power loss, unfortunately.
Oh, it's got Wi-Fi. That's cool. I like that. We'll give that a go.
So actually, as it turns out, no, it does not have Wi-Fi. I think I must have been reading the page for the Saturn III Ultra, which does have Wi-Fi. So I think that about wraps it up for this printer. Is it a printer you should buy? Probably not. Not at the current price. If it goes on sale and is more competitive with, say, like the Saturn II, then maybe. But yeah, at least from a cost savings perspective, I don't think this printer makes sense. It makes more sense to save the money and get the Saturn II, or to stretch the budget a little bit and get the new one with the fancier bells and whistles. So I think that will conclude this first impressions video of the Saturn III. Now, assuming you are a returning viewer of the channel, since you've watched this far, you might remember a couple of videos ago I was toying with the idea of giving away the K1 FDM printer from Creality. Well, it turns out that the people at Creality actually watched my videos and they emailed me about that, and they were very interested in that idea. And they wanted to put up some rolls of filament to win as well. So we're doing a giveaway. And if you're watching this right now, your chances of winning are actually like astronomically high. Because there's going to be, I think, so few people actually entering this giveaway. So good luck. All you got to do is there's going to be a link down below. Click on that. It's a Google form link, and just answer the questions, fill in the info for that Google form and submit it. And on the 12th of May, which is coming up real soon, I'm going to draw the winners at random. Now, the K1 itself is only going to be available to those of you who live in Australia, but there's also 3 spools of Creality's Hyper PLA filament to win, which is a really awesome filament, and regardless of where you are in the world. Well, actually, no, there are regions, and they're listed at the form, so you probably fall into one of those regions. It's like US and a bunch of European regions, Canada, etc. You know, the usual. If you fall within these, and they're all listed on the form, then you can win one of these spools of filament. So the way we'll do it is I will announce the winners via a YouTube short on the 12th. I won't contact you, okay? So if anyone reaches out to you and says, hey, congrats, you won a thing, just ignore them. That's not me. You're going to have to contact me once you're announced as the winner, okay? And then if you don't, it'll just go to the next person. So that's how that works. So yeah, if you want this Creality K1 or some filament, God, your chances of winning are super high if you're watching this currently before the 12th of May. So good luck to you, and thanks for watching, and we'll be back here soon with more 3D printer goodness. Cheers.